I know there's been a lot of speculation leading up to today about what this budget would look like. Would we make drastic cuts to boost our bottom line? Would we spend it all while times are good? Would we abandon our plan to pay down debt and stabilize our finances in the long term? Budget 2024 is a responsible plan to strengthen healthcare and education. It builds safe and supportive communities, manages our resources wisely, and promotes job creation to build Alberta's competitive advantage. It is a solid budget based on measured fiscal choices that improve the lives of Albertans to help our province realize its full potential. Budget 2024 is another balanced budget with a forecasted surplus of $367 million in 24-25. This responsible plan strikes the right balance between investing wisely to meet the needs of Albertans today and ensuring those services remain sustainable to support the next generations. With this roadmap, we are meeting our promise to support a thriving and successful province no matter what challenges lay ahead. We are refocusing the healthcare system so every Albertan has access when and where they need it. But there are risks that can't be ignored. The geopolitical turmoil is keeping oil prices volatile, and the uncertainty from the layering of harmful and foolish federal policies are preventing Alberta's economy from reaching its full potential and holding back investment and productivity gains, not just in the province but across the country. More people moving here means more pressure on our roads, hospitals, and schools, and on the doctors, teachers, and other dedicated workers who provide us services. This year, we're entering into contract negotiations with close to 250,000 public sector workers in education, health, post-secondary institutions, and within the government. We're also facing significant debt servicing costs, which are expected to be $3.4 billion in 24-25. Without a responsible plan to pay down debt when we can, we would be on the hook for far more. And then there's the very real and immediate concern of natural disasters and extreme weather events. Last summer's wildfire season burned 2.2 million hectares and forced the evacuation of more than 38,000 people. It also depleted our $1.5 billion contingency, and more than 50 fires continue to burn underground. The ongoing drought is a huge concern for our farmers, for industry, and for all Albertans, especially in the south. Dugouts are dry, and the levels of water in many reservoirs are dangerously low. With little rain predicted on the horizon, we need a responsible plan that will prepare us and our kids for whatever tomorrow may bring. We must spend and plan with the future in mind, making the most out of every available dollar. So let's first take a look at our provincial revenues. Our forecast revenue of $73.5 billion for 24-25 is $2.1 billion lower than the forecast for 23-24. The ups and downs of oil prices have much to do with that, but although resource revenue is down, it's expected to tick up in the next couple of years. We expect to get more for our heavy oil when the Trans Mountain Pipeline opens later this year. The world needs our clean energy, and with TMX, we will get our vast resources to the West Coast more efficiently and increase access to global markets. Corporations continue to invest in Alberta and contribute to our economy and success. And as more people make Alberta their home and find good-paying jobs, we expect to bring in $15.6 billion in personal income tax in 24-25. That's a stable revenue source from hardworking Albertans who support our province and share in our prosperity. The budget does introduce or increase some taxes. To deter smoking and tobacco use and stay aligned with provincial neighbors, Budget 2024 raises taxes on cigarettes and smokeless tobacco. Even though this tax is increasing, Alberta still has the lowest taxes on cigarettes in Western Canada. Alberta will join the existing federal-provincial coordinated vaping tax framework, meaning there will be a new provincial vaping tax. Smoking and vaping continue to be serious public health issues in Alberta, causing considerable harm to many Albertans. So we hope to see revenues from these taxes dwindle over time as more people quit. Alberta is following suit behind Saskatchewan and 44 U.S. jurisdictions like California, Montana, and Oregon by introducing a new annual tax on electric vehicles. Since EV drivers obviously don't pay a fuel tax, this new tax will be their contribution to keep provincial roads maintained and to support other public services.
I'm glad you mentioned the cash surplus. Like today, according to the civil servants this morning, this is an accounting surplus. So isn't this misleading Albertans by basically you're borrowing money into to get the Alberta fund to use that. You're borrowing money, but yet you're claiming you have a surplus. But it's not a cash surplus, it's an accounting surplus. So isn't that misleading Albertans about the state of the budget?
Not in any way, Graham, or not in any way that we can control. So we have, you probably saw Alberta got an A+ in financial transparency. I think we're the only province in the country to get that. But we follow, strict reporting guidelines laid out by the Auditor General. So this is how it has to be presented. I agree with you, it's confusing. I'm not an accountant, but you're not wrong. To have extra money to either pay down principal and debt or make a deposit in the Heritage Fund, it requires a cash surplus. Where we sit today, the best way that I can, I guess communicate it, Alberta would need a $3 billion surplus to not require further borrowing, and a $2 billion surplus to maintain or not erode its net debt position. That we knew budget 2024 was going to be more difficult. That's why decisions were made that we had to reinstate the fuel tax and things like that to maintain the position that we're in. But I would say when it comes to debt repayment, when it comes to the Heritage Fund deposits, that's why it's so important in the good years, in the years where you have a surplus, that you spend it wisely. You don't increase your operating spending line because you're having a good year. And I think that's what it speaks to. But you're also allowing the retained earnings to stay in the Heritage Fund. Over $1 billion this year. Every other year previously, it would have naturally gone into the general revenue fund, and a politician would have had to make a decision to then take it out and put it in the Heritage Fund. Now that's reversed. A politician would have to make a decision to take it out of the Heritage Fund and put it into general revenue.
You spoke earlier about education. I did some quick math this morning, and it seems that private schools are getting roughly 4 times the increase on a percentage basis that public schools are. There's the K-12 envelope. Can you explain why that is, please?
I think that's a question better directed at the education minister. I would have to dig into that. I don't have that for you. But you're not wrong. 4.4% increase in health and education, and when you look at the fact that we're only increasing spending 3.9%, means that other areas aren't increasing at the same rate. Health, education, advanced education, they make up about 61% of this budget. So everything that happens in those ministries has a very big impact on the overall budget of the province.